I remember that morning so clearly. It was crisp, the kind of Texas morning where you just knew the air travel was going to be easy. Until it absolutely wasn't. I was heading to D.C., flying out of Lone Star Terminal U. No, the big, busy hub down near Galveston, and I was stressed, but it was a good stress. See, my name is Eleanor Harding, and I'm a federal appellate judge, which sounds fancy, but mostly it just means a lot of paperwork. This trip, though, was different. I wasn't just bringing divorce papers. I was bringing a briefcase full of findings that were about to expose some serious systemic corruption in the regional border security budget, specifically what they called the Interdiction Bonus Program. This little kickback scheme was basically incentivizing their field officers to stop, search, and seize assets from people who looked successful but suspicious. And trust me, I fit their profile perfectly that day. I was wearing this charcoal suit, very professional, but on top, I had my emerald green cashmere shawl, not really a jacket, but a wrap. It's a piece that's very important to me, a quiet symbol of my faith. Something I always wear when I'm dealing with high-stakes ethical matters, a kind of internal anchor. I glided right up to the priority lane, showed my first-class boarding pass and my federal ID, feeling that sense of authority you earn over 30 years on the bench. And then I met Officer Rex Dalton. He was maybe 35, built like a brick wall, and wore that dark green uniform with a smugness that was almost theatrical. I presented my ID, smiled, and said, "Good morning, Officer, Judge Harding. Just heading to the screening." He didn't even glance at the federal ID in my hand. His eyes, cold and assessing, just locked onto the green wrap. "Hold it right there. Mrs. Harding," he sneered, dragging out the misses. "It's like an insult. We got an alert on your profile. Border security issue. An alert. In 57 years, I've never had so much as a speeding ticket, let alone a security alert." I pulled my hand back slowly, keeping my voice level. "Officer, I'm running late for my flight. Please present the legal basis for this alert. A simple claim isn't enough." That's when he gave me that slimy, power-drunk smirk that makes your blood boil. "We don't got to justify our operations to you, lady. That green thing, we need to search that jacket right now." His voice wasn't just a command. It was a deliberate provocation, aimed purely at humiliating me. I held my composure, but my voice dropped to the temperature of dry ice. "Officer, this garment is part of my professional attire, and for me, it holds religious significance. Search without probable cause or a warrant is a blatant violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, and it steps dangerously close to violating the Religious Freedom Restoration Act." I used all the legal jargon I had, hoping that the sheer weight of it would make him back down, but he just threw his head back and laughed a harsh, barking sound that made passengers turn around. "Oh, looky here, we got ourselves a sidewalk." "Lawyer, this is the Homeland Security Zone, Judge. Your fancy little Constitution stops right at that door." The audacity. It was breathtaking. I stood firm. "You are mistaken, officer. Constitutional rights never stop. You are violating my civil rights, and if you proceed, I assure you, your actions will be examined at the highest federal criminal level." He took a step closer, crowding me, his bulky uniform practically touching my face, and I knew he had crossed the point of no return. He was too deep in his self-righteous bullying to retreat, and my resistance only fueled his warped sense of justice. Or maybe, just maybe, he was thinking about that interdiction bonus he'd get if he pulled something out of my bag. "Take off that jacket now," he growled. I shook my head, slow and deliberate. "I will not compromise my rights. I demand to speak with your supervisor." That was the last straw for him. He moved fast, a blur of dark green uniform and brute force. "Shut up," he yelled, and before I could react, his hand shot out and grabbed the cashmere, giving it a violent, angry yank. The fabric tore free from my shoulders. For a horrifying moment, that beautiful green wrap, that symbol of my personal dignity and faith, hung suspended in the bright fluorescent air before it landed in a crumpled heap on the shiny tile floor. The silence in the priority area was deafening. Every single passenger froze. I stood there, exposed in my simple suit vest, feeling the public humiliation wash over me. And then, just to seal the deal, Thorne looked down, stomped his boot contemptuously on the green fabric, and yelled, "Now everyone sees who you really are, lady. Just violating trash." He bent down, picked up the wrap with 2 fingers, as if it were contaminated waste, and stuffed it roughly into a nearby trash bin. "You're under arrest for resisting and disturbing the peace." I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just stood up straighter, took a deep breath, and let him slap the handcuffs on me. 30 years of legal training taught me that emotion is a luxury the courtroom wore in this case, as the airport won't afford you. I looked directly into the phones that dozens of horrified passengers had already raised, memorizing his face. "And his badge number, 417, you have just violated federal civil rights law." "Officer Dalton," I said, my voice calm, cold, and echoing across the quiet terminal, "I will ensure you face irreversible consequences." As he led me away, I knew he thought he had one. He thought he'd put the uppity judge in her place, secured his bonus, and stopped my meeting. What neither he nor his sleazy boss, Chief Alistair Shaw, realized was that every word, every stomp, every sneer was captured by 16 different ceiling cameras, and more importantly, the automatic backup system on the Border Patrol servers was diligently storing every second, including the audio from my conversation, despite Thorne muting his body cam. A little over an hour later, I was released from a cold, concrete holding cell. No charges filed, no apology given. But I had used that hour well. I was calculating the exact federal statutes he and Rohr had violated. Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. I knew the law was my weapon. I was about to use it like a sword. The moment I was outside, I called my husband, Chief Daniel Harding of the Houston PD, and my voice was pure ice. "Daniel, I need you to listen. Border Patrol just assaulted me, detained me, and stole my property. Contact FBI Special Agent Gina Rossi immediately. Tell her I am invoking federal jurisdiction for a civil rights investigation, and I need it." Opened within the hour. I wasn't hurt, but I was furious. They had no idea they had just started a war with someone who literally interprets the law for a living. Within 3 hours, I was sitting across from Agent Rossi at the FBI Houston field office. I didn't just tell her about the assault. I laid out the whole conspiracy. This wasn't just about my jacket agent, I explained. I was on my way to present findings about their fund allocation, millions in discretionary spending, equipment, purchases that don't exist, the interdiction bonus system that incentivizes officers like Dalton to violate civil rights. I handed her my notes, the exact documents they tried to prevent me from taking to D.C. They detained me because they knew what I was carrying. They humiliated me to intimidate me into silence. Rossi, a sharp veteran agent, just nodded slowly. "You're not just filing a complaint, Judge, you're building a criminal case." "I'm a federal judge," I replied, meeting her gaze. "I see the law not just as a shield, but as a sword. Right now I want to use it to cut down everyone who thinks they are above it." The social media storm helped. Within hours, the hashtags, hashtag Lone Star Irony and hashtag Badge417 were trending nationally. The passenger videos of Thorne stomping on my wrap went viral, millions of views. The court of public opinion was already delivering its verdict. The FBI investigation was fast and brutal. Within 1 week, they had everything. Agent Rossi's finance team found that Thorne and Chief Shaw were embezzling federal funds through a fake equipment vendor. Her digital forensics team confirmed that Shaw's computer accessed my flight details and that Thorne deliberately disabled his body cam minutes before I arrived. The security footage, complete with clear audio of Thorne's racist entitled rants, was the final nail. They also found 14 prior complaints against Thorne, all dismissed without investigation by Chief Shaw, including allegations of sexual harassment and excessive force. This wasn't a bad apple. It was a rotting barrel. 2 weeks later, the U.S. attorney unsealed a massive 47-page indictment. They charged Dalton and Shaw with multiple federal crimes: conspiracy, deprivation of rights under color of law, wire fraud, theft of federal funds, and obstruction of justice. It was beautiful. The arrests were executed simultaneously. At 6 a.m., I still remember watching the news footage of Thorne being perp-walked out of his modest apartment in handcuffs. His smugness replaced by pale terror. Chief Shaw, the arrogant mastermind, was arrested at his upscale suburban home. He was expecting it, but compliance didn't save him. 6 months later, the trial began. I took the stand first. Thorne's defense attorney, a slick guy named Graves, tried to paint me as an unstable, overreacting judge who was only seeking revenge and a huge civil settlement. "Isn't it true, Judge?" Harding, he asked, with a condescending sneer during cross-examination, "that you refused a direct order from a federal officer?" I looked him straight in the eye, and then at the jury. "I refused an unlawful order, Counselor. There is a significant difference. As a federal judge, I have a constitutional duty to uphold the law, not to blindly obey commands that violate it." He had nothing left after that. The jury saw the footage, heard the finance team explain the fraud, and listened to 3 other victims detail Thorne's pattern of abuse. After 2 days, the foreman stood up, guilty on every count for both defendants. When the judge handed down the sentence, I felt a deep, profound sense of justice. Rex Dalton got 10 years for his crimes of violence and civil rights abuse. Chief Alistair Shaw got 15 years for his corruption, embezzlement, and conspiracy, plus full forfeiture of his illegally acquired pension and assets. But the real victory wasn't just putting those 2 men behind bars. It was tearing down the corrupt system they had built. The Department of Homeland Security, under intense pressure, appointed me to chair the new Federal Border Security Ethics Committee. We eliminated the interdiction bonus program nationwide, rerouted funding from unnecessary equipment back into rigorous anti-discrimination training, and placed the entire Lone Star District under a strict federal consent decree. My fight even directly led to the passing of the Federal Passenger RFRA, a new law that explicitly protects religious clothing from arbitrary searches at federal checkpoints. Today, I wear a new emerald green cashmere wrap. It's perfectly tailored. And it isn't just a symbol of my faith anymore. It's a quiet testament to the fact that no badge, no uniform, and no amount of corruption is bigger than the rule of law. They thought they could humiliate me by tearing down my cover, but they only exposed the rot underneath their own authority. So I'm curious, what do you all think? Do you believe justice was served here? Or should the higher-ups who allowed this corruption to fester for years also have faced criminal charges? And how often do you think this kind of interdiction bonus abuse is happening at checkpoints? All across the country. Let me know your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you believe abuse of power should always be exposed.